In this video, I'm going to show you how to go from this to this in one day. I'm going to show you why I think taking a private drift lesson is the fastest way to become proficient at drifting and allow you to enter your own local event and not piss everybody off. I'm going to show you everything I learned step by step, just as it was taught to me, so you can go and figure this out on your own. This is going to be a fun one. Hang on. You are going to get to see my progression over the course of basically one day. Now, the way I'm going to show it to you is the way it was shown to me. We're going to start with the very basics. Throughout this video, I'm going to show you video both in car and outside the car. And then I'm also going to go to kind of like a classroom here. I've got my miniature drift car, and I'm going to show you some things that were shown to me to be very helpful, some mistakes and things you got to learn, and we're going to build as the video goes. So we are going to start out with just doing circles. I'm going to explain that to you first, and then we will eventually link the circles into a figure eight. This is being done at low speed, first gear, relatively easy stuff. Maybe we're not even drifting just yet. We're learning how to control the car. From there, we're going to go to actual drifting. At this point in time, we're going to be in second gear, entry speeds around 40 miles an hour, maybe 50, okay? And we're going to talk about how to get the car sideways. I'm going to show you how to do that. This is when it starts to get hard. And at the very end, we're going to show you how to reverse the course, use the hydraulic e-brake, all the things like that. You are going to learn, just like I did in one day, how to become relatively proficient. I should point out, this is not the only way to get into drifting. You could just show up at an event, you could go to a group lesson, but in this video, we are going to take advantage of a private lesson. What this means is the car is provided for us. It is set up properly for drifting. They provide the tires. It has a welded differential. It has a proper alignment and an angle kit. And most of all, we have a Formula D instructor, a professional who is going to show us how to do this properly and not form bad habits from the beginning. It's a little bit more costly, but I think you will make the most progression this way. The first thing we're going to focus on is just how to slide around in a circle. So all you need for this is a cone in the center of the radius, okay? You kind of get to pick the radius of your circle based on how far or close you drive to that cone, but basically you want to get going around the cone at a constant speed right at about the point where the car wants to break traction, okay? But you want to make sure that your radius is constant, and you always want to be looking at the cone. One of the things we'll talk about here is when you start to slide, if you look away, just at least in these beginning stages, if you look up and away, the car is going to transition from sliding to going straight. It's going to go where you look. Look at the center of the cone. As you are going around the radius, okay, two things can basically happen as I have depicted here. So in red, we've got the radius. These black marks here are your tires, your front tires in this case, and this is just roughly to say where the steering wheel is pointed. Now, as you're going around this turn, if you keep turning in more and more and more and more, at some point the front tires are going to lose grip and the car is going to understeer. It's going to basically just start pushing out. You're not drifting, you're basically just scrubbing your front tires. Now, if you're going around the turn at a constant radius and you get on the gas really hard, well, the weight's going to transfer to the back of the car. The back of the car will likely step out, and if you do nothing else, it's just going to come around like that and spin out. That's also not what you want. So from outside the car, let's talk about three mistakes. Now, this first time, you're going to see us go around twice, and this is classic understeer. We're giving the car gas, but not enough gas to cause the rear end to fully step out. It understeers and pushes. Now on the third go around, you'll see we give it too much gas, spin the car all the way around, but it's okay. We're learning, okay? Now we're going around the second time here. We're getting a little bit better. We step the back of the car out and we gave it too much gas. That's okay. That's okay. Now this one, we really do start to get the hang of feeling the car slide, but partway through the turn, most likely we look up and the car straightens right back out. Don't forget, look at that cone. Now from inside the car, but before I hit play, I want you to remember a few things. Constant radius circle on the limit of grip, give it gas, let it step out, let go of the wheel, catch the wheel, and control the car with a combination of throttle and a little bit of countersteer. Okay, so we're not at the limit of grip, now we are. Let's hit pause. Notice how I'm looking at the cone. Now I'm controlling it.
Good job.
As soon as I wanted to get out of the drift, I looked up, the car straightened back out, and we were good to go. Those are some crucial things to remember as you're learning, and it'll make it easier for you. Don't get discouraged if it takes you a while. Practice this before you try and move on to the figure eights. Get comfortable with different radiuses. Try and be smooth. Take your time. You'll get it. A couple more quick things I'll point out before we transition to the figure eights. How you hold the steering wheel. Don't grab it too hard, okay? It's like you're holding a golf club or something like that. You want to be relatively gentle on the steering wheel. The other thing, like I said, make sure you're looking at that center of that rotation. Okay, we're not going to do that forever, but for the cone exercise, that's really helpful. And try and be smooth with your throttle inputs. My wife was actually way better at initiating the drift and really having a nice smooth throttle control. You should listen to the engine. If it's revving up and down and up and down, the car keeps pitching back and forth. You don't want that. You want a nice, smooth, constant circle, okay? And that takes some practice. So take your time. Make sure you get good at that before we proceed to the next step, which is going to be the figure eights, which I will show you. And these are a little bit more difficult, but it's totally required if you want to actually graduate to drifting. Okay, just like it sounds, you're sliding around, you're sliding around, you're sliding around. Now, the trick is to get the car to flip the other way and start sliding the other way. It's not that hard to do, but you have to understand something about weight transfer. So while you're on the gas and you're sliding, you're giving the car gas, the weight is shifted backwards. Now what happens is, what you want to do when you get past the midpoint of the circle, I'll flip around in a second, show you what I mean, you need to lift off the gas. Now you can exaggerate this and lift off the gas a ton. You can just barely blip it, but whenever you do that, the car is naturally going to want to like dip forward. Imagine you're like accelerating on the freeway and you let off the gas, the car kind of like dives forward. Well, when the car dives forward, since the wheels are turned the other way, you're gonna get a ton of front grip. And when you get that front grip, what's gonna wind up happening is you're gonna go from sliding like this, front grip, boom, the car's gonna wanna come the other way. When it comes around the other way, you gotta let go of the wheel and get back on the gas and catch it and hold it, and now you're sliding in the opposite direction. Sounds easy, right? It's a little bit harder than that, and I'll show you some things that I messed up on a lot when I was trying to figure this out. As I'll try and show you in some of these videos, one of the mistakes that I made was as I was sliding, I tried to initiate this turn too soon. And what happens is if you do that is, yeah, you might get to spin around, but you'll loop the car around before you ever get to that second radius of the circle. So you really want to be looking at this first cone down here as you're sliding. Keep looking at the cone till the point where you think you're too far, right? You're like, wow, I'm like way past. You're not. Then lift off and the car will go around. And you need to start looking at that second cone. If your eyes look up, the car will just straighten out. So it's this balance between looking at the first cone as you're sliding, let off the gas, the car pitches forward, rotates, let go of the wheel, get back on the gas, it's gonna start sliding the other way, and now start looking at that second cone. Okay, we got Kelly in the car. She's going around the circle. She's starting to slide that first circle. Now, one of the things that Kelly would do is she would over-exaggerate that weight transfer. So see right there, she didn't quite let off the gas and get the car to rotate around hard enough. So you'll see her go around the second time here. She's getting a little bit better. We're sliding. She lifts. Nope, wait, hold on. She's still sliding. She's going around this turn. You're going to see her here lift in the center right there, and the car rotates and she starts going around. So we're not perfect yet, and I think on this one she might, not quite enough to initiate. She was there was a little bit of a lag there between initiating the transition from side to side, but that's okay because she's getting better. So you just keep practicing this. It looks easy when you see somebody do it who's done it a bunch. It's not, but this is so crucial. You have to figure out how to link these turns if you ever want to be able to truly, truly drift. But look how smooth she is in those big circles. This is crazy. Heck yeah. Oh, not quite. Keep practicing, guys. You will get it. This is not something, if you got the circles and it was easy, I will tell you the figure eights take longer. You just got to keep practicing and you're going to get better. For one reason or another, I couldn't find great in-car footage of the figure eights. I have plenty more of that when we get to the next step. But you'll see here, I think this is back with me in the car. I'm starting to get the hang of it. I lift right past the center point. The car rotates. So keep sliding. You're looking at that first cone. Past the center point, lift. back on the gas. Remember, let go of the wheel, back on the gas, and you can do this all day. Once you're comfortable with this, and this is relatively easy for you, you are ready to step it up to the next step. I will warn you though, when you transition from here to the next step, the learning curve gets a little bit steeper, but we will talk you through it, and I have in-car footage to show you. I think it's gonna be easiest for me to show you what happens next. This is the high speed course, okay? And this is how it was set up. Now, basically, you're gonna accelerate from the start to about 40 miles an hour, which means somewhere between here and here, you need to shift, okay? So you get in a second gear, you gotta get the car loose, and you're gonna slide it, and then boom, this super long radius turn, and you just keep sliding, and straighten it back out. Let me explain why this is a little bit different and a little bit harder than what you've done before. Now again, your track's probably not gonna look like this, but you get the idea, okay? This is 3 turns with a long sweeper at the end. Now what makes this difficult is 2 things. Number 1, you have to start at speed. You're not in first gear anymore, okay? You've got to be at speed, which is gonna be a little bit scarier. Actually, maybe there's 3 things. So you're gonna be at speed for 1. The second thing is you can't feel the limit of grip like you could when you started the circles or the figure 8s, where you're doing a circle and you can feel the car want to step out. No, you're going straight and you've got to pitch the car sideways. And then finally, the last thing is what you're gonna find out is because you're linking turns, any mistakes you make early on are gonna make drifting that last big arc very difficult. And actually, that's why I learned at the end why we started this way, because this is actually the harder way to do it, something like this, but it's gonna teach you a lot of stuff. So when I got out there, I was the first one to give it a shot, and it was very difficult for me. And I'm gonna give you some tips and try and tell you some things that when you're trying to learn for the first time, you kind of wanna know. Okay, first things first, if you're probably gonna go out there like I did, and you're either gonna loop the car around immediately, or you're gonna go out, and I watched another person out there drive it almost like an autocross course. You don't wanna be halfway through this turn and then break loose. The point is that you start the drift before the apex of the turn. So how do you do that? So what I used was they call it a Scandinavian Flick. And if you're watching this, you probably have an idea of what that is. But basically what it is before you approach the turn, you upset the car. So you basically pitch the car one way and then back the other way. And that weight transfer gets the car unsettled. And if you have a properly set up drift car with a welded diff like this one, if you couple that with getting on the gas, you actually don't even have to force it that much. When I was first practicing and trying this, I was giving it way too much, and it was actually just making it so I'm banging my head around the car, and I couldn't control it. You just need to figure out that balance between upsetting the car, okay? We're not using the hydraulic e-brake. Everything that we are showing you this far is not with a clutch kick, it's not with a hydraulic e-brake, it's just trying to control the weight of the car. So you've got to try and find that point where you can kind of upset the car ever so slightly, get on the gas and initiate that slide. And once you do, time starts to kind of slow down for you almost. Let's flip the camera around and show you what I mean. Ready? Okay, this is after a couple practice laps. I'm gonna hit pause a few times here to show you what to do. So we accelerate in a second. Boom, we're initiating that Scandinavian Flick to get the car unsettled. Now we're sliding. Think of this at this point like you're doing the figure 8 transition. Okay, we're gonna hit pause again here in a second. Okay, look, I'm trying to tell you at this point, you have to look out far to the left. Unlike the cones, if you look inward, you're never gonna make it around this long sweeper. Same course later in the day, no pauses, but feel free to slow it down and watch what I do.
Hell yeah. What are you telling me now? I freaking love that.
Here's one later in the day. Kelly's in the car. Now she's going to go ahead and do the course from the other direction. This is a little bit different, but she absolutely kills it. All right, it is time to graduate to the hydraulic e-brake, and in a lot of ways you could have started with the hydraulic e-brake. The instruction that we received was basically you know, a car that has too much power or a hydraulic e-brake, you can kind of use that a little bit as a crutch. So we initiated our drifts just by getting the weight of the car to move where we wanted to. But now we've got the hydraulic e-brake. All you really need to know with this one is you get going like normal, clutch in. You have to have the clutch in before you pull it. Clutch in, once you pull the hydraulic e-brake, the back of the car is gonna wanna start to rotate around. You really don't have to turn in or anything like that. It's just gonna wanna start to rotate on its own. Let go of that e-brake, get back on the gas, catch the wheel, and just slide like you normally would. I practiced a little bit, kind of on some slower turns. Kelly went straight to like the fast, high-speed course. It's not that hard. Play with it, take your time. The longer you pull it for, the further it'll swing you around. If you don't pull it enough, you know, you just gotta like take your time, play with it a little bit. Think of it like you're shifting from first to second gear. So like when you shift from first, second gear, clutch in, pull, same thing, clutch in, yank that e-brake off the clutch, back on the gas, and you'll start sliding. Check it out. Kelly and I have some fun with it here towards the end. Okay, to wrap this video up, let me know kind of what you think. I really like the way that they taught us. And what I mean by that is we didn't have some LS powered V8 making 600 horsepower. We weren't going straight out there and yanking the e-brake or on a wet track or anything like that. We were on a dry track. The car made like 200 horsepower, but we started with the basics, and those basics were those circles and those figure eights. Circles and figure eights, boys and girls. That's what you gotta start with to get used to how that car wants to slide, and it slid so easily. I tell you what, I am totally hooked. I really, really, really want to get into drifting, get my own car and go out there and do it. And maybe you'll see some more videos like that, but let me know. Hopefully this helped you out. Go do it, man. Like, just go out there, pay the money, take a class. You're gonna love it. You're gonna have a blast. This is arguably the most fun I've ever had in a car. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time on Truck and Roll.